My name is Thorsten Overgaard. I'm a Danish photographer. I travel the world taking photographs and teaching photography. Today I will tell how you get really good at using a camera. Below the video here there is free downloads, free stuff. One of the things is my ebook about famous photographers and famous photographs. So that's a book about Cartier-Bresson, Ut, and others, and the history of photography, and also I tell about why I photograph, how I photograph, and other interesting things. Very little inspirational book that people have been very happy to get for free and read and be inspired by. Today I really want to tell how you drill with a camera, how do you become really good with a camera. And I realized I said a few times in my books that I like to study the history of photography, I like to study things. I wouldn't necessarily say that I read manuals, but I do read manuals to see, spot things that I need to know about that I wouldn't have found out myself. And also if there's things I don't understand on the camera, I will look in the manual. And then I say that I drill with my cameras. And I realized people actually don't know what do you mean that you drill with it. So I'll tell what I'm doing. Let's just take a camera here I used a lot. This is M10P. So some of the things I do when I get a new camera, I actually look at it. So I look, what is this button here? So here's a button. It says LV. And I'm like, who knows what LV is? Is that Louis Vuitton or what is it? So this is something I will look in the manual, or I will Google it if I don't think I actually understand that aberration. And it means live view, and it simply means that when I turn on the camera here, when I press this one, I have live view, so I can see the picture here, and I can see when I focus in and so on. So that is live view. There's lots of things on a camera that you might not immediately know what is it. One of the things here is the depth of focus, or depth of field scale here, that shows actually how big a zone is in focus. When you set the camera to, for example here, or the lens to 1.4, what happens if you set it 5.6? Then you have a new set of lines here that shows from this distance to this distance, it's going to be an acceptable focus. If you ever heard about zone focusing, that is the idea of that you go, for example, on the street and you set it to 2 meters here, and you set the lens to f.8, and then you look here and you scale at f.8, then it's going to be in focus. This is 28 millimeters. It's going to be in focus from 5 meters distance. When the focus is set to 2 meters, but everything all the way to 5 meters is going to be an acceptable focus, which means in focus. And on the other way here, it's going to be down to 1.3 meters. So that means when I have it here, anything I photograph from 1.2 meter to 5 meters away is going to be in focus. So I can basically just go snap a picture like this. That zone focus is not something I really use, but that is what it is. And that is what you use this scale for. And you can also say if you photograph a landscape or a house or maybe a group of people, you want to see how to make sure that all the people in front and in the back of a group photo is going to be in focus, or how do I make sure that the tree in the front yard is also in focus and the house is in focus and maybe a tree behind or something like that. So that's what you use this for. You can, of course, you can also digital, you can take a test photo and look at it, but this is what the scale is for. And there's other things like a lens like this have an orange or yellow scale and a white scale. And what is all these numbers? Well, the white one is meters and the other one is feet. So you could say in the old days you actually had American lenses for the American market that only had feet, and you have European lenses with only meters. Somebody was bright at some point and said, let's just put both the scales on here. Lots of things in photography you can study. I mean, I do the Digital Photographers Extension course is a new course. Well, it's not a new course. It's a course I've been doing for 10 years that's been very popular, and it was actually closed for new attendees because there were so many on it and I couldn't follow up on it. Then I redesigned it, and now I'll put a link below. Now you can sign up again for it, and that is a course that tells about the history of photography and all the basics that I feel you need to know. Well, it's not something I feel you need to know, it's something you need to know. How does this thing work? It's like a car. If you don't know how to change the gear, or where is the gas pedal and which side of the car do you put on gasoline, then you're going to be in trouble. So it's the same with a camera. The better you know your camera and all the things, the better it is. And also make it a habit to study things, like how does this thing work and what can I do with it? What is this little lamp for up here and what is this for? Well, in this case, or this is the M10P, this is a red lamp that blinks when the camera is turned on and when it writes to the memory card. This one is a light sensor that if you set the screen to automatic adjustment, then it will sense if you're in a dark or bright room, and then it will brighten up the screen or lower the light depending on where you are. It's not something that should be on. You should always have the same brightness of the screen, so you can always judge the exposure. You can say if the screen goes up and down, you can judge that. So that's a thing also. And you could say that when you study the manual and you study things, you go close. And let's just take the new M11 here. Is an interesting camera with a lot of new features. Here you can say, just an example here, they changed it, so now the play is up here and there's a FN button. And what is FN? Well, FN is the Danish abbreviation for United Nations, and I'm sure this is not what they meant. So FN is a function button. So that's why I call it FN. But in this case, it actually works almost like the live view, but you can also program it. That's one of the things you find out in the manual, that if you if you hold in this button for a while, then you can change what function it has. Brilliant. Then when you study the manual or you play around with the camera, you find out that you can actually, this wheel here, you can actually press it in, and then oops, again comes functions that you can do. And I had it here on I think focus 8. I'll put it back on that. And then the interesting thing is, when I play around with the camera, I found out that, oh, when I do like this, when I press it in, while I look through here, then I can actually go and change the exposure. Awesome. So it actually have two functions. I can zoom in on the picture, but I can also, while I take photograph, click on it. So that actually almost, you could say, two function button. Something you wouldn't figure out if you don't play with the camera, you don't study it, or you don't look in the manual. So then we get to drilling. What do I mean with drilling? Well, one thing I always did was, or do actually, is not just with new camera, but with any camera, is that I kind of try to prevision what is going to happen, what is the conditions, how far away I'm going to be from the subject. Let's say, you could say one of the frantic things or whatever you can do is royal weddings, because it's like they drive by you and that was it. Either you get the picture, you don't. So which camera are you going to pick? What lens are you going to put on it? Should it be a 300mm? Should it be the wide angle? Should it be a zoom? What are you going to do? And one of the ways to find out is that you simply take the camera and you go take some test shot and have an idea, okay, this is the frame, this is what I can do with this. And you kind of try to predict what's going to happen. And you could say that will also be, you can drill with the setting here. You could say you can go in here to the menu and say, okay, instead of continuous low speed, I'm going to go continuous high speed. So let me just see how many pictures would that actually be. If I do this, then it's going to be like this. Okay, that should work for royal wedding, you know. That's like they drive by, they don't drive that fast, so they drive by and they wave, and then I can probably get 50 photos of that. I could also check, maybe I can shoot down here and put a 90 or another lens. Maybe I have another camera and I shoot some photos down there, and then as they come by, I grab this camera and then I focus with this one and I'll just shoot, spray all the way where they get by. So that is trying to prevision or have an idea what is going to happen, how is it going to work. But in practical sense, drilling is like, there's a term called dry shooting for guns and other things. I actually don't use any of that, but that is a term, dry shooting. That means that you are shooting with them. You're playing war or whatever, you're trying to shoot ducks without ammunition. So in the same in the camera, you could say digital doesn't really matter that you take photos. If it was film, it would be expensive to sit and test how fast can this thing go and so on. But drilling simply means that you find out how does something work. So here on this camera, the way to change the battery and the SD card is you have to open the bottom plate. So you take off the bottom plate, you take out the battery, you take out the SD card, and then you can see how fast can you put it in again. And you can say it can be put in this way, that doesn't work. You can put it in this way, so it's nice to know somehow it's this way, and the battery is this. And then you put on this one, and then you're ready again. Everything can go wrong with this, because the bottom plate could be, it doesn't really work, or you put it here, and it's just like, no, that doesn't work. So it's a very simple way to put it on, and that is the right way. And the thing is, when you drill it, it sits in the fingers. The alternative to drill, if you think it's ridiculous to sit and play around with your camera home in your mother's living room or somewhere like that, then you can just wait, because the more photos you take and the longer you use the camera, the more drilled you get. That's basically the same. Here, you're just trying to predict how does this work. How can I change this thing? How can I see this thing in the dark? How could I figure out a way to work with it? Let me see, can I see it inside here when I go manual? Yeah, I can actually see the shutter time here, so that's one way to do it. Okay, that's cool. Problem solved, I can shoot in the dark with this one. You could also say a thing like take the lens off and put it on is something that can go awful wrong, and you can actually pressure the focus mechanism here, and of course you could scratch everything with it, and you would just make a mess. So the thing is to notice, oh, it has a red dot here, and when the red dot is out for this one, then that's where it goes in. And then you click it and you just make sure that it sits there. And if you don't do this, then you're going to be like, you know, and maybe you don't put it on well enough, so like this. So I drill things, you could say, when I get new stuff or when I'm trying to prepare something, try to figure out how do I do this, I'll drill it, I'll try to imagine how is this going to work, and we'll see how does the focus work here. Okay, so this is infinity, and then I go down here, this is 70 centimeters or something, yeah, 70 centimeters, and then I notice that when I turn it here, it goes 70, 80, 1 meter, 1.2, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and infinity. So over here it goes really fast, and here it goes really slow. Okay, so I have to figure that out. Then you have other lenses like this one. That's a lens from the 56, and this is a 52.0, beautiful lens. And this one have a lock here, and this is from back in the day. They had the idea that a lens like this, when you didn't use it, it should be locked here in this focus position, and basically you should also close the aperture. And it's kind of, I don't know if it was ever true, but it's not something that new lenses has, because it doesn't really matter. The thing is with this one is that it locks here, but it means you focus here as close as this 1 meter distance. Then I focus over here, and I can't focus on that thing because it stops, and that's because I have this. So of course I have to find a way to, how can I just get by this lock, and there's the focus there, and then I want to focus on the mountain order that's infinity, so I have to lock it here, and then I have to unlock it. So I can kind of just, okay, I could do it like this. I could hold my finger in here when I get to that area of infinity, and I think it starts from 10 meters to infinity. So it's not that often I use it for the type of stuff I do in the street and portraits and people and so on. So that's a thing to drill also. And I have a thing that I always check. I always know a camera, what is my ISO, because I can see it here. I can see the ISO dial. I can also say if I want to change it all the time, can I actually just leave it up here and just move it like this? Yes, I can. And when I walk with a camera, I always have an idea where's my focus. I always have an idea that I check where's my aperture, because it should be wide open. So I just continue to make sure that it's over here, all the way you can get. This one should be an A, so I kind of keep an eye on that it's there. and also if the camera is on or off and so on. So in that way I mostly know what is my camera settings. I know that the camera is ready. I know if it's on or off, so I'm ready. And you can say that is from experience, but a lot of the experience you can skip. You don't have to have this camera for 6 months to know it really well, or use it for 2 years but know it really well. You can actually drill with it. You can study the manual. You can drill different things and see how does this work. And there's other things you can learn about a camera as you use it, or it goes wrong. You could say one of the things I had with this one is this one suddenly I couldn't press it down because this one had unscrewed itself. And then one day I said, okay, that's enough. How does this thing look inside? And then I took it apart. And that could be a bad idea, but it wouldn't get worse than I could just send it to Leica and they could fix it again. But it's actually very simple. It's just this thing screws on, and I'm sure it could be screwed on so tight so it would never go loose again, but it doesn't really matter. Now I know that if I press this one and the camera doesn't go off, it's because this one have unscrewed itself a little bit, so now it sits up here, so that I can't, it's like a really weird thing, the feeling of it. And then I can just screw it on, and then okay, now we're ready to rock and roll again. So that is drilling, and you can say that goes with everything. It goes with a camera like this, that you drill and see, okay, how long does it take before this thing is on? And then you check the different buttons and how fast can it shoot with this one? How does the diopter change here? How do I put on lenses on and off on this camera, and here I have an adapter on, so how does this stuff work, you know? So there's a lot of things you can study and learn, and it's actually quite entertaining and rewarding because you get to really own the tool, and that's basically the point. So don't be shy. When you sit in a cafe and drink a cup of coffee and talk to somebody, you can always sit and fumble with your camera and get a feeling for how does this work. And there's also the thing you say, I'm not afraid of dropping my cameras or hitting a wall or something like that. They're really made for it. You can say, of course, if you're afraid of scratching it, then that's another thing. You could say, you can drill. How can you use a camera without scratching it or without, you know, getting in too close or too hard contact with something? I think that's what I had to tell about drilling. So drilling is simply just you do something repeatedly again and again as if it was the real thing. And that is just a substitute for doing the real thing, because doing the real thing might take you 3, 6, 12, 18 months to get the same experience as you can actually get in a few days. There is one cute story from back when Robert Capa, and I forgot who the other photographer was, but there were a couple of photographers that they were doing like war photography, the Spanish war, something like that. And one of the things they entertained themselves with was that they had competitions in the hotel room. So they had Leica, so it was manual focus. So they would simply stand here, they would get drunk at the same time just to spice it up. So they would drink a lot of whiskey or vodka, whatever they drank. And then they would set the focus and say, okay, this wall is 2.5 meters away. And they would set it 2.5 and take a photo. And then they would move, drink some more, I guess. And then at some point they would be standing like this. And now it's okay, it's 2.8 meters, okay, I'm going to like this and take this. And the one who had the most focus was the winner. I don't think there was any award. It was just a way to pass time and maybe not deal with the war 24/7, but have some fun some of the time. That was all I had to tell today. Till I see you next time, remember to always wear a camera, and remember to click and get your free ebook below the video. Thank you for watching, and see you soon again.